Hey friends, Pastor David here with this week's Midweek Minute. So if you were with us this past weekend, either in person or online, we talked about the story from Mark chapter 9 about Jesus being on the top of the mountain where he was transfigured before the disciples Peter, James, and John. And that's a powerful story that shows Jesus in all of his glory. It shows us that resurrection is not the first indication that there's life after death, because Jesus talked with Moses and Elijah and they were alive. But we talked most about those disciples, Peter, James, and John, that they experienced the glory of Jesus on the top of the mountain. They heard God say to them, "This is my Son whom I love. Listen to him." And then they came down off the top of that mountain, and when Jesus needed them the most, they fell asleep. They denied him. But Jesus went to the cross for them anyway. And that proves that disciples who let Jesus down are still redeemable. And that means that you and I are still redeemable. That Jesus does not give up on those who follow him. In fact, our theology of grace is that Jesus does not give up on anybody. Jesus keeps pursuing all of us in the hope that we will turn and repent of our sin and turn around and let him embrace us with love. And my challenge to all of us this week was to remember that whenever our lives get into that place where we tremble, or where we are anxious, or where we feel like we are not worthy of the embrace of this God that loves us, to remember that we can always crawl into that space, into that place where we are uniquely adored, as John Eldredge says. I hope that will bring you some hope and some comfort. Remember that this week, that Jesus never gives up on those who follow him. We turn the corner in the seasons of the church year this week to the season of Lent. We're going to begin a brand new series of messages called The Jesus I Never Knew. A companion to the scriptures for this series is this book by Philip Yancey by that title, The Jesus I Never Knew. I encourage you to pick that book up. And this first week, we're going to talk about the fact that Jesus grew up in a Jewish household. Many of us may have known that already. Some of us may have not. But what does it mean that the story that Jesus grew up in is a Jewish story? We're going to talk more about that this coming weekend as we gather for worship on the very first weekend of Lent 2024. I hope that you can join us either in person or in our online community. Until then, have a great week, and remember, keep looking up.